Well, hi, everybody. I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. It's the 18th of September, 2024, and thank you so much for listening today. And by the way, I must apologize if you tried to tune in yesterday. We had a tech glitch with I could hear what my guests were saying, but nobody could hear me. And hopefully that's not happening today. We think we fixed it, and we checked in with our platform, and they think they fixed it, so everything should be fine. But I got to apologize for that. We're going to reschedule that show for next Wednesday that we were going to do yesterday, so I appreciate your patience. All right, today we got a really nice show for you today with our friends over at Discovery Education and their friends, Discover, like the card, Discover Financial Services. They put together some great free resources, okay, for financial literacy. And we're going to talk to Madeline O'Neill over at Discovery and talk about how she puts these things together and what's happening and these free resources for grades 6 to 8 for financial literacy. And that is a great way to do interdisciplinary work, et cetera, et cetera. It's so darn important. So I just hope that everybody takes advantage, not only what we're saying here, but of all the things that they're doing that are out there and free for you. Okay, so please check it all out. Madeline's going to tell you all about it. We're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org, and all the podcasts we do, not yesterday's obviously, but all the podcasts we do, because there was no podcast yesterday, okay, are up there. And please feel free to pick and choose and share as you go. Madeline, I hope you can hear me. Can you?
I can hear you.
Hey, great. There you go. We fixed it. I don't know what happened yesterday, but it was tough. I could hear them talking. Where's Larry? Where's Larry? And I guess people could hear that, but they couldn't hear me, for goodness sakes. It's nice to have you here. Where are you today?
I'm out in California, so it's quite early for me right now, but I'm happy to be here.
Well, this will make your pain less. Yesterday I did the show. They were in California, too. They did a 9 a.m. Eastern show, so they both got up at 5 in the morning, and then we couldn't do the show. So, yeah. So.
Oh, goodness.
Does that make you feel more wide awake than you were a few minutes ago?
It does make me feel so much better. Are you being kind to them next week with the reschedule and doing a later time, or is it also
we're going to
9 a.m.?
No, actually, they didn't want to do a later time. They agreed to do the 9 a.m. show again, with just 6 a.m. out
Amazing.
There. I agree.
That's wonderful.
But there you go. I'm in Maine. I don't care. It's 10:30 or 9 a.m. or whatever the case may be. Yes. So, it's really cool. Where are you in California?
I'm out in Sacramento, so the capital.
Oh, nice. Getting a baseball team.
We do. We're getting the A's, apparently.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Congratulations.
The rumor around town. People are very excited.
It's not a rumor. You heard it here. That's not a rumor.
Yeah, right.
Okay, you heard it here.
True.
Okay.
Maine is awesome. That's my, I'm trying to get to Maine so badly. That's my number one state I want to visit right now.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And we will welcome you when you come. Please remember, I am here. Okay, it is a beautiful place, and we're starting to get, but just now started. Okay, the great fall colors that everybody comes up to see, etc. And I hate to tell you what we call people who come to see the colors. We call them leaf peepers. Leaf peepers.
Leaf peepers.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, but it is beautiful here. It's beautiful. The coast. I live in the mountains, in the mountainside, close to New Hampshire. But it's really just beautiful. So I hope you do get out here. And Sacramento ain't bad either. I got news for you.
Mm-hmm. I like it. It's great. We're right at the base of Tahoe. Really close to San Francisco.
It's great. It's great. I love it. Okay. It's terrific. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what are you doing out there? What, did you work out of your house, or is there an office out there? I didn't even know. Is there an office out there?
No, there's no office. So I work remote, actually. So I've been doing this since 2020 with Discovery Education. It's wonderful. Like
it's great.
I have a nice little setup in my house. My dog loves it, although his anxiety's through the roof when I leave now.
Dogs are always welcome. Is the dog with you?
He's kind of prowling, making sure the house is locked.
What kind of dog? What kind of dog? What's his name?
His name's Pete, and he is an Australian Shepherd cattle dog.
Oh, very good. As everybody knows, there's tons of cattle in Sacramento, so that's good. Good choice. Okay, thank God he's there to control the Sacramento herds. Yeah, it's really important. Tell Pete Uncle Larry wants him to get a cookie. He's entitled to a cookie.
I'll let him know.
If you do well on the show, he gets a cookie. We'll see how you do.
He gets a cookie. Oh, he'll love that.
Okay. You tell Pete. Okay.
I will. Do you have any pets?
We've had dogs, but now we only have 2 cats.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, cats are good. Cats are good. I'm not getting into the politics of cats these days, but cats are good. They're safe.
The politics.
Yeah, they're safe, everybody, just so you know. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, all's well. We'll just leave that topic and move.
Moving on. Let's go.
There we go. And Pete and I will now move on to Discover Financial Services, which you work with Discovery, putting together. I'm going to tell everybody this. You guys work with a lot of corporations, putting together a lot of resources for schools. Mm-hmm. And today we're going to be talking about I'm going to get this great. There's a new I'm going to say all this, and you can correct me once I'm done. There's a new documentary coming out, produced with the help of Discover Financial Services through Discovery, on a website which I have a link called Pathway in Schools, pathwayinschools.com. Okay? Yes. And it's called Money Mastery. It's coming out on October 22nd, and today is about a month from now. Okay? It's the 18th of November, September. Okay? And so did I get all that right so far? So far, you're hitting the nail on the head. I'm hitting the nail on the head. Okay. You help put together these things. Okay, you are what's called everybody listening, it's all educators, will love to hear this. You are a senior partner social impact manager. Discovery. Yes, that's right. In other words, that which is a great title. But tell everybody, because people are always talking, they're going to leave the classroom. Do we leave education? A lot of people were in the classroom. They move into education in this regard. Okay? I always tell people there's a whole big industry out there, and you're still in education. Okay, talk about what you do. Not that we want people to live the classroom, but we want people to take what they've learned and move it into things that help a zillion teachers and a zillion students. Okay, so talk about what you do there. How does this all come together?
Absolutely.
There you go. You're on. Let's see if Pete gets the cookie. We'll see if Pete gets the cookie. Yeah, you're on.
So I was actually an educator for a very hot second, and a 6th grade English class, actually. And then I moved into nonprofit work, doing partnerships, and ultimately moved over to Discover Education, doing partnerships, management, and corporate social responsibility, which is really what I would say the bread and butter is of what my job is. So what we do as a partner impact manager and working with these huge global brands is helping align what is happening in the classroom and a lot of times the needs that are needed in the classroom. As we know, many of the careers that are out there either don't exist or will exist in some capacity, and we need to be able to translate those skills to our students. And so the best way to do that is create these conversations with those industries and hear from them, what are the skill sets, what are the things that you are needing and seeing, so that we can help our educators ultimately help our students feel prepared for when they move into that world. And I'm really lucky. I love the partners that I work with. Discover is such an incredible partner because they are so passionate about the idea of personal finance, right? It's not even about workforce readiness for them. It's more, we know, like, we all use money every day, right? You go to the coffee shop, you go somewhere, and you have to be spending money and earning money. And if we don't stations at such a young age, then I mean, I could speak from my own experience. I made some bad personal finance decisions when I was 22 years old, because I didn't know any better.
You're making me bring back a memory of a buddy of mine who was out of work for a long period of time. This is a few years ago, okay? And he lived in California. That's not funny in and of itself. None of this is funny, but what makes me laugh about it, because you mentioned coffee shops a few minutes ago, okay? He got into the habit of going to Starbucks 4 times a day, okay, and getting the El Grande Latte Supremo, okay, for $19 a pop or whatever the heck it was, all right? And he wasn't earning any money. He was just charging, $8, $9 a pop for this cup of coffee, all right? And when you say that, you made some bad, and everybody has bad financial decisions, the coffee shops, etc. I watch. I heard about somebody the other day. Their dad's wealthy, so every morning they order Uber Eats to deliver Starbucks to the kids to the house. And my point is, okay, that's easy to do. It's easy to make that call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's easy to go to the Starbucks because there's one being built in your living room right now. Okay, that's how many there are. All right, and if we don't understand that $8 times 4 times a day and 7 days a week, et cetera, starts to add up. Okay, we're in big trouble. Okay, and that's talk. I mean, I'm right. Am I right? Right?
Yeah. Oh no, you're absolutely right. It adds up, and I mean, for me, I didn't know that, right? So the whole point of this program and what Discover is really passionate about is those skill sets that's earning, saving, and spending. And so when we think about this Pathway to Financial Success program, one of the things I like is it goes from 3rd grade to 12th grade, right? So it's resources that are curated for the specific age, depending on what you teach. And it's also standards aligned, which I know is sort of the Discovery Education's wheelhouse. We always align our resources to standards so that whether you are a math teacher or a health teacher or a English teacher, you can find a way to bridge these conversations. We know for a fact it doesn't matter what career your student's going to go into, they will have to know how to have financial decision making and being responsible with their money. And so I encourage all educators to go look at the different resources. We have things like modules and self-paced modules, and then we have easy access with videos, which I realize, Larry, your question was, what do I do for Discovery Education?
No, that's just great. Keep going. Pete's on the way to getting his cookie. Go ahead. You're doing great.
There we go.
Yeah.
But what I really do is I'm helping bridge those conversations. And so I kind of sit in this unique seat that I come from a world of education, so I have a little bit of that pulse, understanding the intricacies of how you actually engage students. I think it's easy to sit in a seat when you've never been in the classroom to say, this is what we should do. But when you're actually in the classroom, the implementation looks so different. And I was an educator a decade ago, and the world is so different from just 10 years ago. But we got
to keep kids engaged. COVID changed everything. You're right. Everything's different.
It changed
everything.
And the ability to do asynchronous learning and engage students and all the different learning styles that are out there, it's important we have these conversations with industries and global brands so that they understand. It's great that we want to teach these subjects, but this is how we can do that and funnel that down so an educator can actually implement it and not just throw, sand out there and assume something's going to stick.
Yeah, I mean, it works. It's good for Discover. It's good for Discover Financial Services. They're going to teach people how to learn how to use money, okay, and how it all works, and good money management. And it's good for the educators because they aren't experts in this either. I can guarantee you none of them have been trained in this. Okay, financial literacy, as far as I know, is not taught in teacher preparation, teaching financial literacy. And it should be, which brings up a very interesting question. I think I mentioned this right at the beginning. I see this as and you mentioned it a second ago, as very interdisciplinary. And the new movie, again, I'm going to say Money Mastery, and it's at pathwayinschools.com, starting October 22nd. You can write that in your lesson plan books, everybody. Okay, and it's linked over here as you're listening. Where do you see this? Okay, and I also ask, where does Discover see this landing? And by that I mean math, health. You said it a minute ago. I was an old social studies teacher, and I see it in there. And social studies is having a great revival these days as we realize we've let civic education go. But part of civic education is understanding how to be a good citizen and how to take care of your family, okay, which is, by the way, is coming for all these 6th and 8th graders, okay? Trust me, all right? All right, it's coming, all right? So, where do you see it landing? Or when Discover did it, where do they see it? I don't know how you guys approach that.
So how we're approaching it is really from the lens of interdisciplinary, like you said. So the goal of this CEDoc the DE documentary Money Mastery is really to help students build financial habits early, connect the real world relevance to it. So we're actually in a bank. We're meeting with individuals who, one, is all about identity security and keeping your information safe, and how do you stay safe with the reality that so much of our financial is online. So it's talking about the real world relevance of that. And we also meet with somebody who goes through just like the inner workings of what is credit, what is interest, what is a debit card. So it really is to start these early conversations so that we know our students are starting to familiarize themselves with terminology that they're going to eventually start utilizing themselves, especially at that middle school age. They're right before they're going to get their first job. They're likely going to get a bank account shortly after that. And so starting those conversations and hearing those words and those terms in a way that isn't going to be brand new to them in 3 years is going to help them feel more prepared as they get, into the real world. And it helps close that knowledge gap, right? So unfortunately, and I think this is probably changing, homes don't always talk about finances. Finances is a really, touchy subject.
That's right.
And so by showing this video and using the educator resources, so the Money Mastery will be a 20 to 23 minute long video geared towards 5th to 8th grade, like you said, although it really is skewed in a way that an educator could show this to a high school student or an upper elementary as well.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that.
Yeah. They can definitely gear it up or down. There's an educator guide. Another huge focus for
Thank you. I was going to ask you that.
Is not just classroom learning. I think they're very focused on making sure that this is accessible to a student to pick up. I'm a Girl Scout troop leader, and so Girl Scout troop leaders to pick it up, or after school programs, and so there'll be educator guides associated with this as well as facilitator guides. So if you are somebody who's not necessarily in the classroom, or you're a guidance counselor at the school, you can utilize this guide to have those conversations. And then it's also going to be paired with some classroom activities to make these more bite-sized. So the video will be chaptered. We all know, like, a class is maybe 50 minutes long. Showing a video for 25 minutes can eat up a lot of your class time. And so doing it bite-sized, where maybe one day you're like, we're going to talk about safety with finances, and you show the 5-minute clip, and then you get to do an activity that's going to really help your students understand why it's so important that we don't share our financial information or our personal information out there, because this is the long-term effects that can happen.
It's really good. It's a good idea. And how do you get the word out? Then I talk about the Discovery Network. How do you get the network of teachers who are using the products, etc.? Just talk about how you get the word out. Besides, obviously, we're getting it out here a little bit, but just in general, how do you get it out there?
Yeah. Well, we do a lot of marketing. We have an incredible marketing team. I also think we've done, so 2 years ago in 2022, Discover was really passionate about understanding the need around personal finance. And so we did an entire needs assessment that gave us a better understanding as to where personal finance sat. And that gave us connections to educators and administrators and parents within the sphere of personal finance. So within that space, we learned so many great details that has helped guide this conversation. And guide the resources. And I do want to stress that it's not just this video. There are self-paced modules. There is entire units for high school, entire units for middle school. We have animated shorts for the elementary classes. We have gamification coming. It's a very robust program. And because it's so robust, it gives us a lot of access points to have connections to whomever, right? If you're an elementary school teacher, maybe the Money Mastery DE Doc isn't going to be the correct resource for you. But the 90-second animated video that digs in on learning or digs in on spending might be a great access point for you. And similarly, so
go ahead.
You're good. I was just going to say, one of the things you said earlier, you mentioned a lot of educators maybe aren't prepared to have these conversations. But what's interesting is, so that's something we found in the needs assessment, is that I think it was 77% of the educators that we surveyed mentioned that they are being asked to teach this, but they didn't have any formal training on how to teach this.
Yeah, that's a lot of things that we lay in educators. Okay, and I'm so glad you guys are working on that.
Yeah.
We're constantly throwing stuff on their shoulders. Okay, that they were never even prepared. Okay, to teach.
Exactly.
Okay, it's brutal. Okay, and it's not fair. What you guys can do to help is unbelievable. You said something a few minutes ago. I just want to stray a little bit. Did you say you were a Girl Scout leader?
I was a Girl Scout troop leader. I absolutely was a Girl Scout troop leader. But really quickly, before we jump there, I just want to say a resource that we have for educators to be prepared. So 33 states, as far as I believe it's 33 states, have requirements now for personal finance education. So there is a level of these states are requiring it, but they're not necessarily providing the set resource for an educator. And so Pathway to Financial Success in Schools not only has like masterclass and educator resources to learn some of these conversation starters, it's set up for high school and middle school that you could really just take them through this program and not necessarily have to become a master of personal finance, but they have full units that dig into topics. So units on making personal finance decisions. There's one on college preparedness and savings for college. And so if you are an educator out there that is having to teach these and you aren't feeling prepared, I highly encourage that you go check out Pathway to Financial Success, because it is set up in a way that you don't need to be a master of personal finance to teach this subject.
And it's so darn important. And again, am I giving the right pathwayinschools.com?
Yes, exactly. Pathway to Schools.
That will get them there.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure that was right. Yeah, and thank you for that. Again, it's just what we ask teachers to do, and then we can't find it. Well, it just goes. So that's why I always say this is a free resource to people, and I always say that really, and I please understand the way I'm kind of stereotyping you. There's no such thing necessarily as an under-resourced school. Discovery, and I've worked with so many aspects of Discovery. They do a lot that's free for educators. Like I'm working. I know Subaru. You guys work with Subaru. Okay, and where I live in Maine, everybody has a Subaru. Okay, and Discover and all the other companies that Discovery works with. And the companies step up. The school budgets are tight. Yes. Okay, and the corporations step up and go to a big education producer like a Discovery and say, let us help you. Okay, that helps us. It helps to create a future workforce. Okay, but it helps these kids no matter where they wind up. It helps the schools. And I think that's really, really extremely important these days. I cannot mention how important it is. I just, feel it in my bones. I just want to, I wanted to ask you, you were a Girl Scout leader. You were.
I was a Girl Scout leader, yes.
Okay. Everybody's favorite cookie is the one. Is the one that tastes like coconut. The one with the chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody loves those things.
Yes.
Yet they are the same price as the cookies people don't like that much. And the Girl Scouts need to come up with a way, like the airlines do, okay, that if you want to go first class, it costs you $1 more. Okay? In other words, make the most favorite cookie that everybody loves the more expensive one. And then you make more money.
Yeah. But then it's inequitable, right? And so, I mean,
it
bring
is,
it back
but I don't care. Like the airlines, I don't care. I don't give one more leg room, you pay for it. Okay?
But then it's not equitable. What if you can't, going back again to the idea of resources in schools, like, if we had that mentality, then we all of a sudden, not everyone's going to have the same access. And I think, Pathway in Schools is an incredible program because the whole idea is to create that equitable access. So one of the other things that they have on this program is Spanish translations. And so if you are somebody in California, this is super relevant, that if you are, again, in California, Spanish speaking is really common.
Oh, my God, yeah. Of course.
It's just, and you have a lot of, I had family members, parents who didn't speak English. The students often had to be the ones, quote, translating for their parents.
Yeah.
All of the family resources that Pathway has is dedicated to making sure that families can understand what's being talked about and how to have these conversations with their students. So it's both in English and it's in Spanish, which I think is really great. This is a newer aspect of Pathway. So like I think I said earlier, we have a ton of modules, and that's been something since 2017 we focused on. But the next 5 years of this program is to create the resources to have the entry-level conversations. So it's creating those quick, short, animated series. I think I mentioned a second ago, we're going to be doing gamification shortly. We're starting this virtual field trip. We're going to have video topic series coming in the next year. And it really is to, I think sometimes the modules are incredible and so in-depth. So if you are somebody who's having to have the personal finance requirement conversations, those are going to be the things you want to dig in on. But if you're just an educator who is thinking like, I need to figure out how do I make sure my student understands what earning money looks like, or what are needs versus wants, which going to the civic conversation you were talking about, that's a great needs versus wants conversation that we can talk about. I remember I had an educator once who made us do that from the lens of being a legislature and having to make the decisions in needs versus wants. It was a great class. But these short entry-level resources are going to be the thing that you're going to be excited about, I would imagine. Like you said a second ago, Larry, the video launches on October 22nd.
October 2nd, yeah.
But next week, September 24th, it launches for registration. So if you
I didn't know that. I didn't have that date here. Thank you.
Premiere,
Thank you.
Yes, September 24th, registration will open, so you can.
Where they would go to pathwayinschools.com.
Correct. Yep, exactly. Okay. And under video and interactives, there'll be a drop down. There'll also be a thing that pops up right on the homepage that says DE Doc coming soon. Register now.
What are they? You have to explain this to me. What are they registering for? Just when you say register, what are they actually registering for?
Yeah, so we do a premiere, if you will, that happens at 1 p.m. Eastern time on October 22nd. And so what the registration says is it gives you reminders. It tells you this is happening and that you are that's ultimately this resource is on demand. And so no matter, sometimes you might be really excited, but 1 p.m. is not when you're teaching.
Exactly. But it's good to have the reminders, and they know you want it, and they'll keep Discovery, et cetera, will keep reminding you what's going on with it. I think it's good. I just didn't understand what the registration was for. And that's just fine. By the way, your segue from my more expensive S'more Girl Scout cookie, to the equitable resource was one of the great segues of all time. Just based on that, Pete gets his cookie. Pete gets his cookie. Yeah. Okay. Just so you know. Okay. That was a great segue. Okay, because here we are, the American Consortium for Equity in Education, but I didn't realize that carried over to Girl Scout cookies, and now I realize that it needs to. Okay, and it's all kidding aside, the fact that you're working with Discover Financial Services brings a resource to everyone. There is no such thing as an under-resourced school because everybody can get access to this. Okay.
Exactly. Everyone. It doesn't matter the educator that you are. It is really set up, and I think the big key other part, which I know I said a second ago, is it's not just for classroom learning. Like, of course, educators, like that's our focus, but after school programs can utilize this. Guidance counselors can utilize this. Administrators can utilize this because sometimes it's not and asynchronous. I think my mom works at a charter school for independent study, and she utilizes these resources because all of the modules are self-paced. It's
so good. It's just so important. And is from Discovery, do you, Madeline, only work with Discover Financial Services, or do you work with some of the other corps too?
I have the opportunity to work with some other amazing organizations as well. So Discover is fantastic. Honestly, every single partner that we work with, Discover Education is, very specific with partners that we work with, and we're really proud of the relationships that we develop because those organizations. Well,
like I said, I've had a lot of them on the show. I've had a lot of them on the show here, and they're just they really care about getting this stuff down into the schools. Okay, and it's so important, more important than ever these days. That's all I can say.
Absolutely.
Madeline, thank you so much, okay, for being here today. And thank Pete for herding all the sheep today. I know he's busy.
Yes, he's working
How
hard.
How big is the herd? How big is your herd, Madeline?
It's about exactly 1 4-year-old.
Oh, okay. That's busy enough. That's enough. Okay,
she's a lot of work.
Well, you have the collie to keep her in place, so I think that's all there is to
right.
it. Okay, Madeline, thank you so much. This has been great. I really appreciate it, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks
of
so
course,
much.
Larry. Thank you so much. Have a great Wednesday.
You have a great one in Sacramento. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Of course. Bye.
She's terrific. That's Madeline O'Neill. She's the senior partner impact manager, but she's social impact manager working with the corporations that Discovery Education works with, okay, to get you guys a lot of free resources. And again, I have it linked here, but it's pathwayinschools.com, okay? And there's just a ton of stuff out there, and please go and use it. Okay, that's all I have to say on the subject. We're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org. Pete gets his cookie, and I'll see you on the next podcast, everybody. Thanks for listening.